Welcome to Past Paths UK-USA. Iran was once one of the most powerful and stable countries in the Middle East, but over decades, coups, revolutions, sanctions, and geopolitical conflicts reshaped its destiny. In this video, we explore the full history of how tensions between the United States and Iran developed from the Cold War era to modern conflicts in 2026. Iran before its conflict with the United States. Iran was an important and influential country in the Middle East. It possessed vast oil reserves and a strategic location between Europe, Asia, and the Soviet Union. During the early 20th century, foreign powers, especially Britain, had strong influence over Iran's economy, particularly its oil industry. Many Iranians believed their natural resources were being controlled by outsiders, which created growing nationalist feelings and a desire for greater independence. The 1953 coup. In 1953, a major turning point occurred when Iran's Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, attempted to nationalize the country's oil industry. This decision threatened Western oil interests and raised Cold War fears in Washington and London. In response, intelligence agencies from the United States and the United Kingdom supported a covert operation that helped remove Mossadegh from power and strengthen the authority of the Shah. This event significantly shaped Iran's political future and later contributed to anti-Western resentment inside the country. The Shah's Western alliance. After the coup, Iran's ruler, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, strengthened his alliance with the United States and other Western countries. Iran became a key partner in the Cold War strategy to contain Soviet influence in the Middle East. Western investment and military support helped modernize parts of Iran's economy and infrastructure. But the Shah's government also became increasingly authoritarian, relying on powerful security agencies to suppress political opposition. Growing public anger. Despite modernization and economic development, many Iranians became increasingly dissatisfied with the Shah's rule. Critics accused the government of corruption, political repression, and excessive dependence on foreign powers. Religious leaders, students, and political activists began organizing protests over time. Economic inequality and the lack of political freedom fueled widespread anger against the monarchy. The 1979 Iranian Revolution. In 1979, massive protests and demonstrations eventually forced the Shah to leave Iran. The revolution was led by the influential cleric Ruhollah Khomeini, who returned from exile and established the Islamic Republic. The new government rejected Western influence and transformed Iran's political system. This revolution dramatically changed Iran's relationship with the United States and reshaped the politics of the entire Middle East. The hostage crisis. In November 1979, tensions between Iran and the United States exploded when Iranian students stormed the U.S. embassy in Tehran. They captured dozens of American diplomats and staff members, accusing the United States of interfering in Iran's internal affairs. The hostages were held for 444 days, turning the crisis into a global political drama. The event deeply damaged relations between the two countries and created long-lasting hostility that still affects international politics today. Iran-Iraq War and U.S. strategy. In 1980, Iraq invaded Iran, starting a brutal war that lasted 8 years. The conflict devastated both nations and caused hundreds of thousands of casualties. During this period, the United States was concerned about the spread of Iranian revolutionary influence in the region. As a result, Washington provided political support and intelligence assistance to Iraq, while also trying to maintain balance in the middle. East, the war further complicated relations between Iran and the United States. Sanctions begin after the hostage crisis. The United States began imposing economic sanctions on Iran in 1979. The US government froze billions of dollars in Iranian assets and restricted trade between the two countries. Over time, these sanctions expanded to target Iran's banking system, oil exports, and international business activities. The goal was to pressure Iran's leadership to change its policies. But the sanctions also had significant effects on Iran's economy and its people. Nuclear program dispute. In the early 2000s, international concerns grew about Iran's nuclear program. Iran insisted that its nuclear research was for peaceful energy purposes. But many countries feared the program could be used to develop nuclear weapons. The United States and several Western nations demanded stricter inspections and limits on Iran's nuclear activities. This dispute became one of the most important geopolitical issues in the Middle East and led to years of intense negotiations and sanctions. The nuclear deal in 2015, Iran and several world powers, including the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Russia, and China signed a major agreement known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCP. The deal required Iran to limit its nuclear activities and allow international inspections in exchange for the lifting of many economic sanctions. The agreement was seen as a major diplomatic breakthrough, although it remained controversial and later faced significant political challenges. Collapse of the deal in 2018. The United States announced it would withdraw from the 2015 nuclear agreement. Known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, Washington argued the deal did not fully address Iran's missile program or regional activities and decided to reimpose economic sanctions. The decision created major tensions between Iran and Western countries and weakened the diplomatic framework that had limited Iran's nuclear program. Rising military tensions. After the nuclear deal began to collapse, tensions between Iran and the United States increased across the Middle East. Military incidents, cyber operations, and proxy conflicts became more frequent in places like Iraq and Syria. Both sides increased their military presence in the region, raising fears that a small confrontation could quickly escalate into a larger conflict. Economic crisis inside Iran. The renewed sanctions placed heavy pressure on Iran's economy. Restrictions on oil exports and international banking caused inflation, currency instability, and rising unemployment. Many ordinary Iranians faced economic hardship, and protests broke out in several cities as people demanded economic reforms and better living conditions. Direct military strikes. In 2025, tensions reached another major turning point when the United States launched strikes on several Iranian nuclear facilities during a period of regional conflict. According to reports, key enrichment sites were heavily damaged, setting back parts of Iran's nuclear program and intensifying the geopolitical confrontation between the two countries. Iran in 2026. By 2026, Iran faced a complex situation shaped by decades of political rivalry, sanctions, and regional conflicts. The country continued to navigate economic pressure, internal political debates, and ongoing tensions with the United States and its allies. The relationship between Washington and Tehran remains one of the most significant geopolitical rivalries in modern international politics. The story of Iran and the United States is not just about two nations in conflict. It is about decades of political decisions, global power struggles, and changing alliances from the 1953 coup to modern sanctions and regional tensions. Each event shaped the complex relationship we see today. This is Past Paths UK USA. If you want more deep history and global geopolitics explained simply, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for the next story.